So, Phantom GX2 and the Phantom Luna 2. Probably by now, if you want to hear more about the boot, you've seen my review. But we should probably also just hear a bit from one of the people who actually worked on it. So, Odie, we're going to talk Phantom GX2, Luna 2. It's going to be great. So, new Phantom. I'll be honest, it feels a little bit as if you took the GX1 and the Luna 1 and like, boop, and just, made magic. Obviously, we'll talk about the tech in a little bit, but what was the brief when you decided to make a GX2 and a Luna 2?
Yes, so with the GX1, obviously we brought Gripknit as the innovation. And then with the Phantom Luna 1, we brought Cyclone 360 as the innovation, right? And all centered around precision, which Phantom is about. And we wanted to make these two innovations more accessible to our players. So indeed, for us, it felt almost like 1 + 1 is 3, bringing these two innovations in one platform together.
Okay, that's a pretty good brief, to be honest. Guys, 1 + 1 is 3. Go, you do your thing, right? and this is what you did. The GX2, obviously the Luna 2 has the dynamic fit color on it. And it really feels like, you have just taken those two shoes and merged them. You have the Gripknit upper, you have the 3D fins from the Luna, and obviously the Cyclone tooling. How did you go about, merging the ribs from the Luna with the softness of the GX?
Yes, great question. So with this GX2, and if you look at obviously the Luna 1, you'll see that there's actually more of a fusing going on, and also the knit structure is a bit different. So this knit structure is more dense than actually that we have on the GX2 and the Luna 2.
You could feel it was not as soft and pliable.
Exactly. So that was a learning for us, and we have less of a dense Gripknit structure, and with the molding we're still able to maintain some of that softness, or a lot of that softness actually. So yeah, that's how we essentially did it, and provided that soft experience, but still with that 3D texture that we've introduced on the Luna 1.
Right, so you've still managed to keep obviously these grippy individually coated yarns and still mix them with the high tenacity yarns like on the GX1.
Correct.
So what I'm hearing is that you've kind of used the GX1 upper as a base and just taken the molding process of making the ribs from the Luna.
Correct. That's a very good way of describing it, yes. And what we really wanted to do here is also reduce the layers and have a closer feel to the ball.
Yeah.
Right. So indeed, by taking those two together, but applying them in the right way, obviously you get the result that you see in front of you.
Right. And then of course Cyclone. I think by now we all know what it does. It's a very good tooling. But just talk me through, the USPs here.
Yes, so Nike Cyclone 360 is all about making our players move quicker and more confident and safer, right? So we know, obviously, as we launched the Phantom Luna 1, that was obviously with the insight from her that she is 3 to 5 times more likely to get injured around the knees. And we try and reduce that risk, obviously, by introducing this sole plate, but at the same time making players more agile so they can move with more precision. So how it works is you have the circular pattern here, obviously, and then all the studs are blades, as you can see. And with these angles that we've placed them in, that allows you to move very quickly, but also not be stuck in the ground as much as you might be with some other stud shapes and patterns. So yeah, that's essentially how it works. So and this is an innovation that obviously came from her, but it's going to be relevant for all players. And when you obviously the game is getting faster, spaces are getting tighter, and you want to be able to cut more fast, regardless of your playing style. So, and this is going to really help players do that. So.
And it's a funny thing, right? I mean, there must be a lot of scientific data behind this, but I'm just thinking, which stud shape is the most likely to give you an injury because you get stuck, and and you went with the bladed studs on a plate that's supposed to reduce the risk of injury. That's like a really interesting one.
Yes.
But I mean, gotta trust the scientists, right?
Yes, exactly. It sounds maybe a little bit counterintuitive, but indeed, the science shows that this is the best shape to use. So and at the same time, what it does as well is it looks aggressive in a way, and at least we feel like it looks aggressive in a good way. So also intuitively, players are looking for a sole plate that helps them cut aggressively, like it's gonna intuitively help them and gravitate them towards this as well.
It's very intuitive in terms of thinking agility, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay. So it's kind of it feels like a 1.5. You updated bits and pieces, right? Is there anything else that is new on the inside of the boots?
Yes, absolutely. So actually what we've done here is we reduce layers, right? So this is a one-piece knit.
Even from the GX?
Yes. Ooh. Correct. So it is a thinner package, so you feel closer to the ball. That also makes it the lightest Phantom that we've made to date. Right, so that is super, super interesting. One of the learnings that we've applied, for example, compared to the Luna 1 is that this is a full Gripknit upper. And it was actually one of the heavier boots that we made. Like, that's just a fact, right? So we applied the Gripknit on the most high touch zones, but then reduced the Gripknit and used fly knit and skin to reduce weight and also allow for a little bit more flexibility in terms of visual aesthetics as well. So yeah, that's been the big thing. Maybe the other thing as well that I want to hit on like the Phantom Luna 1, we had what we called a Fuego Max lining. We used that on the Magista as well in the past, and that's a bit more cushioned, a bit thicker.
And you could tell. It was very Magista-like.
Right? Exactly. So this fitted a little bit more narrow, which was great for players with very narrow feet, but it wasn't maybe as democratic to like people with wider feet. And also like it wasn't maybe as close to the ball as a feel that you have here. So on the inside, actually, that's also something that we changed with what we call just the AVOQ liner. So yeah.
Yeah, that is a very thin one. It's also on the Merc, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you do get, I mean, the ribs are now big, so you do get a little bit of that firmness between the boot and the ball that you want, but still very close to it. Obviously, I've worn it. It's really good. It also means, however, that there will be no more Phantom GX DF, no more ghost lacing. I mean, some people loved it. Some people didn't really like it, but I mean, what are the thoughts behind that?
Yes, great question. Yeah, that's been such a tough decision and we had so many discussions internally because we know like there's indeed players who love it and there's players who don't like it. But this Phantom was all about being more precise and reducing layers, right? And ghost lace is an additional layer. So for us, it didn't make sense to continue to use ghost lace in this context. So that's essentially the reason why we moved away from ghost lace, just to have reduced layers and actually maximize precision.
And also, you don't need to spend 5 minutes tying your boots.
Exactly.
I got one. But yeah, it is what it is. Another thing is that obviously this is the second generation. I don't think it's unfair to say, and maybe some of the guys and girls out there will agree with me, that sometimes the two coming after really successful one can be tough to make. I mean, the Superfly 2, it was a bit rough. The Magista Obra 2, a little bit rough. It's tough, right? Hypervenom 2, I don't know how much you can say, but it was terrible. So, how do you go about making, like, do you show it a little bit of respect? Are you a little bit afraid? Are you afraid of messing up? How do you approach it?
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, it's so hard indeed to like do something and follow up something that was so good. Like when we asked athletes about this boot, like, hey, what can we make better? It was very hard for them to pinpoint something that we could do better. But we have our research lab, obviously, that helps us a lot. Yeah. We did want to maintain obviously some of the features. We know obviously the plate is obviously a very much research plate that we wanted to bring in, but especially from an upper perspective, we wanted to ensure that we have some of those features. So obviously Gripknit, no brainer, we have that here. But I think one of the areas where we felt we can make an improvement is like, and I don't know if you notice it yourself, but if you play on a very dry, sticky pitch, like AG, for example, like it could sometimes be a bit too sticky.
Oh, I've tripped so many times in that one. Shooting the blazer, boop, boop. Oh.
There you go. So like, indeed, and then like, so what we try to do here actually with those ridges and it actually, and also again, we've researched this, it is a little bit more consistent on the wet and dry conditions. So on the dry conditions, you don't feel as sticky, but on the wet conditions, you actually feel a very similar level of grippiness that you feel on the dry conditions. And that's what you want, right? If it's all about precision, that's part of it. So yeah, that's been one of the big approaches that we've made. But yeah, we obviously want to honor this one. But it's like, yeah, if you're an artist and you write a #1 song, like, how do you write another #1 song? It's the hardest thing in the world to achieve, but it's also the challenge that we love to take on.
But I guess the best way to honor that really good boot is to make something that is equally good or even better.
Exactly.
And yes, that point exactly, using it on a dry pitch like AG.
Yeah.
People, if you've seen my review, you will have heard that already. That's one of the little things that you definitely notice, which is a very much appreciated thing. So thank you for that. So Odi, another thing is obviously you wanna stay true to the Phantom GX1, the Lunar one. And I don't know if it's harsh saying it's a little bit safe. It's not a bad thing, but it's maybe playing it a little bit safe. You know it works, right? Why, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. How do you balance putting out a boot that you know will work with that constant demand that there is from players, boot nerds, everyone just pushing you for newness, freshness, innovation? Like, that must be hard to balance, yeah?
It's insanely hard to balance, and we have to...
Sorry.
No, for sure, it's the reality. I mean, yes, I think because in such a short time span, we've released so many boots. Like this was only a year before this came out, right? Like
it came out in summer.
And this came exactly, right? So like we didn't want to like go too far with it, if that makes sense, because we knew that we were having something that people already liked a lot, and people also like some sense of familiarity as well. So yeah, knowing that this one was following so quickly after these two, we definitely wanted to make sure that we continued to keep that DNA a little bit in there and not go too far, but at the same time, obviously, still have it look fresh enough and feel fresh enough and better than what we have done before. So that's been the balance. I think like if there's a longer period of time between the launches, then you maybe go a little bit further, if that makes sense.
But it also feels like, that you went in and you said, okay, let's change what needs to be changed.
Exactly.
Again, that feeling on dry pitches, that's important. Maybe taking away that I didn't enjoy the very soft tooling on the GX, replacing with Cyclone. Making little improvements, honoring what was good, and not, just give people who loved the first boots the same thing but better. I like that approach. Obviously, you knew how to work with Gripknit. You knew how to work with the Cyclone tooling. Did you come across any big challenges, any big stumbling blocks while making the twos?
Yes, absolutely. So the first one was just a discussion, right? More strategically around like, hey, we've launched the Phantom Luna 1. Do we already want to do this? That was #1. So that was a big discussion.
I mean, this must be the shortest lifespan for a Nike boot ever.
Exactly. So, but we wanted to scale the innovation, and that was essentially the reason why we right now felt like it was the right time. I think the other thing is when you're working with like a one-piece knit, getting the fit right was actually like a bigger challenge, right? And also like as you know, we have this ASIM like lacing system. Like you don't necessarily make it super easy on yourself, but with our focus to maximize the strike zone, that was something that was a challenge to find that right balance. So yeah, I feel like those things were the key things, and then. Yeah, on the tooling, obviously, that was something that we wanted to continue. We didn't want to change it too much. But yeah, obviously, like it's not necessarily a boot that we now like recommend too much to wear on AG, also because of the stud shapes and everything. So we have an AG plate, but sometimes we test them on both AG and grass surfaces, and then like trying to understand the feedback in a way that we don't mess it up, basically. It's been a challenge.
It's a good thing, don't wear the Cyclone tooling on AG if you can avoid it, obviously. They're bladed studs, yes, it might be better in terms of reducing risk, but don't do it, okay? There is an AG Pro outsole, and it's made for AG. But I guess it's good to test it, because some players will wear their FG boots on AG regardless. So if you can optimize it, obviously, but don't. No. You lose your warranty as well. Don't go there. So now, obviously, you worked on the Legend 9. made in Italy. You worked with the finest kangaroo leather. You worked on the Legend 10 with the Flytouch Plus. And obviously now you worked on the Phantom with Gripknit.
Yes.
You worked with all the major materials.
Yes.
What has been your key takeaway from doing the different things?
Yeah, that's a great question. Gripknit is such a complicated material. It's the most complicated material that at least I've worked with on a personal level. It takes a long time to develop it and get it right. So that for sure, that's number one. I think, you know, when you work with a natural leather like I've done with Tiempo Legend 9 and the Made in Italy, that's almost easier because material is a material, right? That you don't do a ton to it.
Gives you more naturally, right?
And then Flytouch Plus was like a project on its own, right? You're developing a completely new material, which is so amazing to see how it comes to life. At the same time, it's such a big challenge. That was an amazing challenge too. But like, yeah, Gripknit for sure is like super complicated, and it's because it's so extremely technical. So yeah, that would be my.
So now the challenge, my challenge to you is, next time we sit down, I want you to have a fourth material to add to the portfolio. Yes, that's again super technical, so I can ask you the same question. Let's see where we go. Again, no pressure. It's all about freshness and innovation, and I'm sorry I'm a part of the problem, but it is what it is. But last question here: what are you most excited about with the GX2 and the Luna 2, and which do you prefer?
I personally prefer. I'm not that difficult actually, to be honest.
Okay, that's easy.
In terms of like height between boots, I can wear either. Personally, if you really force me to choose, I will pick the GX2, just because it's the lightest Phantom to date, and obviously with the higher cuff, you're adding a little bit more weight.
And it's a matter of preference.
Exactly. But what I'm most excited about is like how this boot is made for attacking in the final third, and that intuitive strike zone texture, and how we've been able to execute it with the molding while still keeping that softness. That's something that I'm extremely excited about. So.
And there are not many boots out there that are completely its own. There are a couple, some of which we cannot name here, but the GX is one of them. And I think it's good that you maintain that very unique thing. So Odi, as always, pleasure. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. But guys and girls, tell me what you think of the Phantom GX2 and the Luna 2 in the comment section right down below. Of course, if you want to pick it up, try all the little improvements that they've done. The link to Unisport is right over there. But before you go and shop your brains out, just make sure you subscribe to the channel with the notifications on. Have you subscribed?
I have.
Yes, good. Do like Odi. Subscribe to the channel with the notifications on, and if you want more boot stuff, hit the playlist right down there. With those words, we'll be signing off. Cheers.